It's another day and ABA just dropped a brand new update. Make sure you like this video and make sure you subscribe to the channel. To start off, we got 3 new characters, Raiden, 2B, and Shadow Dummy. All pretty solid, but before I talk about them, let me tell you about some of the things you may not know. Although this was added in the last update, ABA now has a more organized section for the last page of the rosters. But with that said, a high GUI option is now here. Something I personally needed for a while. It works well. Just triple tap H like the dev said, and you don't have to worry about the big red boxes. Another interesting thing about ABA is that you now have a way to stop your character from moving or rotating in free cam. Just hold Alt and you're good to go. Some pretty good changes for people like me who like to use free cam in their videos. But alongside that, we had numerous bug changes and changes in general. There's a few that kind of caught my eye. For example, M1s now prioritize real players over clones or summons, and the same thing goes for opponents over teammates. Now, with that said, quickly, right, let's take a look at the characters briefly. All right, starting with Raiden, he's 100% my favorite new character from the update. He's very combo heavy, he's pretty solid, and in my opinion, he's a really fun character to play. You know, his combo is easy to do. I'll definitely do a video on that, but overall, he has a pretty nice base kit, and even with that said, man, you can still use his 2 and his 3 in neutral for whatever situations pop up, and alongside that, he can actually block now, which is a pretty big upgrade. Now, I wasn't really the biggest fan of just the parrying because sometimes your opponent can just awaken, and when that happens, we all know what type of moves ABA has. But his base is extremely solid, but then you look at his awakening and it's also pretty unfair. The only issue with Raiden is that for the most part, you know, most of his attacks, or I guess to say some, I would say probably most, they can be canceled, so you can't just pop them in between getting hit. However, his last move in his awakening not only heals him, it also gives him back some mode. Raiden will probably get nerfed in the future, so I'm gonna attempt to get out the review as fast as possible, expected like next week, but there's no promises, right? It takes a lot of time to edit, it takes a lot of time to put all the shit together, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? Nobody asks for effort, so it's just a me problem. But let's go ahead and get on to the next character. Now, as for 2B, she in my opinion is probably the easiest character to understand out of the 3. She has nasty multi-hit attacks and evasive, and overall a pretty simple base kit. Her mode, on the other hand, it has a lot of options. You can do a bubble, shoot missiles, shoot a goddamn laser, and even teleport to your opponent. When you think about a word like well-rounded, she's probably, you know, popping up in your head. And she also has a lot of combo extenders. Just a very good character that remains simple and still works quite well. Next up is the GOAT Shadow Dummy, who I've seen people say is Sunless from Shadow Slave. I don't really know, you know, I haven't been able to sit down and give it a full read to say so, but I heard it's good, and I'll definitely be taking a look when I got free time. But besides that, Shadow Dummy is the most well-rounded and complex character from the update. He's pretty unique, he's cool, but he's dangerous. He can throw out his shadow, teleport with it, spawn a shadow snake, iframe. He's just good, right? And by the way, with your shadow stab, you can actually move your shadow faster, and as for his mode, he spawns a shadow world that puts you and your target in the world. If you kill them, you actually get your actual mode and you also heal, but if you die, your mode is gone. And actually, inside his mode, he can disable moves, teleport, auto track. He's a pretty decently fun and unique character. I can't really do justice with just my words. The best way to learn about these characters is to go ahead and experience them yourself. Now, with that said, the Anything Battle Arena update will be getting a 7.5 out of 10. Very cool, very fun. The only problem in my book is that we're lacking an actual anime character. And yeah, I've seen some people say 2B is from an anime, but listen, if a TV show gets a game, it doesn't become a game, right? The TV show is not a game. The TV show got a game. You understand? So whatever came first is what it is. So what 2B is from is a game, not an anime. Now, going back to what I said before, the devs have a lot on their hands working on different stuff, but there's a guy that was in development 2 years ago and should have been added to the game, quite frankly. However, he's been sitting dormant ever since. And I'm not saying that we need an abundance of characters at all times, because of course, Anything Battle Arena is ABA, and ABA is Anything Battle Arena. So they can add whatever the hell they want. It's not my game. But where's Doflamingo? I know K1 was out for an A2 to work on him or something like that, but still, man, that could have definitely elevated this update. Maybe add him alongside Shadow Dummy and the other characters, or just, you know, replace Shadow Dummy with Doflamingo. I mean, I can't really say that this update is an 8 out of 10 because, you know, the Miriam update got an 8. And we also had like 4 vastly different characters, right? Even though these 3 are pretty different, it's like, you know, 3 of the other characters from the other update from the Merriam update for anime characters, right? And what are we mostly looking for in a game called Anime Battle Arena? Pretty self-explanatory. Now, of course, I'm not gonna harp on that all day and be like, man, I'm crying about this, crying about that. They have 7 characters that aren't from an anime, I'm pretty sure. And I don't really mind at the end of the day, right? I'm gonna play regardless, whatever the hell ABA adds, you know, that's just how I am, and that's because I like the game. Now, this update also can't get a low rating because, you know, Raiden is not only good, he's fun, and he's a very unique character for ABA. The same can be said for Shadow Dummy and even 2B sometimes, but, you know, she's a little bit more simple in her base at least. However, man, with that said, I also can't give it a low rating because, you know, these two are well-known characters. I'm pretty sure her game came out in like 2017. I was like, what, 11 years old, I think? And I never once played the game, but I heard about 2B. And the same thing goes for Raiden. I'll definitely play those games though, since I'm an adult now, but that's besides the point, right? That's for another time. But finally, my final extra thoughts are pretty simple. I didn't ask for Shadow Dummy. Maybe somebody did, and even then, if he's sunless, why not make him sunless instead of Shadow Dummy? Of course, making sunless would be a hard task because he doesn't have visuals to go off of. There's no drawing from the novel that shows his attacks. And then on top of that too, the way that I think about it is that sunless is a much more popular character as well, right? I'm pretty sure I'm not saying more popular than the other characters I mentioned because I'm not really too sure how many people know sunless because I didn't really know sunless, but I'm pretty, like they said it had like 93 million something, right? But the thing is with that, right, if the character's really, you know what I'm saying, popular, you can definitely add that instead of Shadow Dummy. But listen, at the end of the day, I don't really care, right? I don't mind OCs, but we already had a dummy OC. However, Shadow Dummy, he's not bad. I'm not critiquing the character. I just wanted someone else. Although I have to be honest, I don't really like the fact that we got hints towards them, like the cursed since birth thing. Of course, that's gonna throw people off or make you question who it is. I know some people said it was Pinocchio, a Persona 4 character, or even Megumi, but if you're gonna give hints for a character, can we at least get a chance to guess them? We don't have to be right, but an OC is nearly impossible to guess. I don't really hate having them in the game, but would I rather somebody else? Of course. Overall, a pretty fun update, and hopefully we get, you know, another 3 character update that's actually has some pretty interesting characters like this, right? But at the very least, maybe they'll be anime characters instead, or at least like 2 anime characters, right? Or maybe just 1 anime character, at least one every single update. If you're gonna do updates like this, right? Let's just do one anime character. Because like I said before, I think this is probably, I can't name another time. Let me know in the comments if there was, but this might be the only update in ABA history where they added only characters that weren't from an anime. But listen, overall, man, I was originally gonna review 2B, but you know, then I did a poll, and actually I forgot to do the poll before I even said that, or I said that and I forgot to do the poll anyways. And after the poll, Raiden pretty much won, so he cleared. So yeah, he's definitely gonna review next. Stay tuned for that. And yeah, be ready, like, subscribe. I'll see y'all boys in the next one. Peace out.